My name is Stefanie Geiser, and I'm Regulatory Affairs Manager in the EAS Strategies Europe team. Since the creation of EFSA, I have been following EFSA developments in Parma. We are an international team of regulatory experts, and we have now 4 regional teams across the world, supported by a network of consultants. And we also have helpful contacts with global and regional authorities to exchange information and be updated on the latest developments also in other areas than Europe and across the world. We have much more wider services. You will see them on the slide. First of all, we give a short introduction on EFSA's history and the role in the EU food safety system. Then we look at the units and the panels on affecting food supplements and functional foods and how they fit into there, and the organizational structures. Then we're going to look at the latest developments. Now, in terms of the EU food safety history, it is important to say that when in the beginning the Commission was created, we had only one scientific committee for food, and there were repeatedly some food safety crises in Europe, on BSE in particular, and also on dioxins. Commission and basically was under pressure to create something different in its system to allow more consumer confidence and also to satisfy the Parliament. We had the creation of the European Food Safety Authority, an independent authority in Parma. The idea was to have independent scientists no longer managed by the European Commission. Now, EFSA was always, however, under fire by the European Parliament and consumer organizations. It had to be found a balance between independence of EFSA and also, however, to keep stakeholder transparency and also give it services to stakeholders in their dossier applications. EFSA revised several times its independence policy, and the most important point here to say is that scientists in EFSA may not have industry employment for the last 2 years. In 2019, the EU Transparency Regulation was created, making the EFSA risk assessment process more open and participatory. This included that all studies submitted for risk assessment are made now publicly available by EFSA. EFSA has several networks with member states and several networks with stakeholders now. EFSA's work is based on mandates. EFSA does the risk assessment. The Commission and the member states are discussing that in a working group, in the standing committee, and then take a risk management decision. EFSA is doing also self-mandates. So they took own initiative in EFSA to work on that when they see that there are data gaps or that they think that there's data that is required at the scientific level that doesn't exist at the international level or at the EU level. There can be slight differences in the member states and European Commission outcomes on regulations, but they have to follow broad line the safety aspects that EFSA is addressing. In terms of scientific benefits assessment, there's more political flexibility on the interpretation. If there's an EFSA opinion on a health claim or on a novel food, it does not mean that it is automatically already implemented and you are already permitted to use the claim. The Commission still has to give its authorization. Also, you cannot use EFSA opinions for the backing of, for commercial backing of a final product, like put the EFSA logo, for example. These are the key EFSA units and panels affecting food supplements and functional foods on activities that happened in particular in 2025, and for which we have some forecasts for the future that may impact EU and also internationally. Now, we have 12 scientific panels, and within these scientific panels, we have the NDA panel, then we have the biohazard panel, and we have the scientific committee. This is the last picture of the organizational structure from 1st September 2025. We have the scientific committee under the risk assessment services, the NDA panel, the biohazard panel under the risk assessment production. So you see they are separate. The scientific committee is covering all panel work, and the NDA panel and biohazard panel are specific panels looking at specific aspects. We also have national networks. What is Article 8? This is an assessment that for the European Commission under a regulation of addition of vitamins and other substances to foods to prohibit, to restrict, or place under community scrutiny. There are currently 3 ongoing opinions. Let's have a look at some novel foods. This is an important mandate, self-mandate from EFSA. There have been a wide range of novel foods applications to EFSA for evaluation to get finally approval for the use of cannabidiol, CBD, or CBD extracted from hemp. EFSA could not finalize its opinion yet because it was missing data. Therefore, it thought it was important to update its statement that it had done already before on gaps and uncertainties published on the safety of cannabidiol. Could be probably safe to have 2 milligrams per day in a supplement. If we look at the mandate from the European Commission on the safety assessment of DHA, EFSA just confirmed its previous level of safe intake of 1 gram per day. Let's have a look at botanicals. EFSA identified 1,538 substances of potential concern. The compendium actually, could it be used for at the moment? It could be used for novel foods assessments and in generally assessments from national authorities. This is actually just showing how it looks like. You can search for the plants and then you find the substances on the left side and search for substances and you will get information with all study references, scientific study references on the toxicity. Danger of this compendium is that there can be misconceptions. If something is absent, it does not necessarily mean it is safe. You cannot automatically say if you have a plant or a plant in the list that it's absolutely toxic. Later in 2027, probably the criteria will be revised for this old guidance from 2009 on the EFSA guidance on the safety assessment of botanicals and botanical preparations. And these two guidances combined will be representing hazard assessment tools to assist food business operators and food safety authorities by highlighting possible safety issues. These two guidances will also, of course, have an impact on EC and member states' continuous discussions on botanical safety measures. In terms of microorganisms, the latest scientific committee activity on microorganisms. We had the publication of the characterization guidelines on microorganisms. This guidance covers bacteria, yeasts, and filamentous fungi. And also what is new in the guidance that we have also now microalgae, viruses, and environmental risk assessment included by EFSA in this guidance. These are the applicant's data requirements. If you hand in a dossier that includes a production process with microorganisms or includes a microorganism as a novel food or as a food additive, then you have to have these data in your dossier. EFSA is planning to do a single cross-cutting guidance on genotoxicity at the EU level. EFSA is going also to collaborate with international organizations and to include specific considerations across all sectors. More engagement activities will also at the international level be foreseen for 2026-2027 by EFSA on genotoxicity. EFSA has long-standing formal collaborations with a range of international organizations, in particular the FDA from the US, Codex Alimentarius, and with the World Health Organization and Food Agriculture Organization. Also have collaborations with national authorities at the international level. There's increased pressure for more EFSA risk assessment guidance across food sectors at the EU and international levels. There are much more EFSA self-initiating efforts for harmonization. Also, botanicals and other substances, the risk assessment at the moment is a high priority for EFSA and member states. EU and international agencies and national food safety agencies worldwide will be monitoring new EFSA developments. To keep up to date on evolving EFSA application guidelines and methodologies is key for future business strategies and success in EU product applications. And should you require help on EFSA dossiers for novel foods or food additives or other applications, you can always come to us and we can help you by doing a dossier check before you submit the dossier to EFSA. So thank you for joining this webinar. We'll be happy to answer your questions.